Hey, what is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, you guys know that whenever patterns start to change, whenever I'm seeing a break in trend, whenever I'm starting to see something new that I think is significant, I share it with you all as soon as I possibly can. Well, there's something going on in the market right now that's a bit of a rarity. It's not something we see very often, and I think it may be leading to a pretty big buying opportunity that, of course, could be beneficial to a lot of people. And so that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. If you do enjoy today's video or find it valuable or entertaining, of course, you can let me know by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new. But of course, with that being said, let's jump into the computer here and let's see what all is going on. Well, if we do go ahead and if we jump over onto the Bitcoin charts, we can see what all has been going on. Don't mind this big crazy circle that I drew here. Let's get rid of that. There we go. One thing we can see, of course, is that over the last few days, we have been seeing a pretty big increase, a pretty big run up in Bitcoin's price. Well, one thing I've been paying very close attention to, and I'm just going to go ahead and actually clear off these drawings. I've been paying attention to how Bitcoin dominance has been moving. I've felt that this was very important, and I started tracking this when I noticed that altcoins broke away from Bitcoin's price. They weren't moving how Bitcoin was, and I was like, we need to pay attention to Bitcoin dominance because that's going to tell us all we need to know about if altcoins are getting ready to launch or not. Well, of course, one thing that we did see was going to be this movement right here. Let's go ahead and let's set this right here, and then let's set this right here. And we can see that we actually had a bit of a rising triangle happening on Bitcoin dominance. But we also knew that we had a very strong region of resistance that was approaching, which was going to be, of course, about the 51. Let's go ahead and get this perfect. Let's see, that's good enough. And then let's go to our 49. That's good. So we know that this is a very important range of resistance for Bitcoin dominance. So of course, what Bitcoin dominance is going to be is how much of the total market cap does Bitcoin itself control. Okay. So basically, if the total market cap of all cryptos was about 50 billion, just for, a fake hypothetical, it's much more than that, obviously, then we would know that if Bitcoin dominance was 50%, it would be 25 billion, as it would be half of 50 billion. Okay. And so what we know is that 51%, 50%, and 49% range on Bitcoin dominance is going to be very important, because that tells us, do we have Bitcoin owning a little bit less than half? Do we have it owning half? Or do we have it owning more than half? 51%, right? How much of the total market is Bitcoin under, is under Bitcoin? Okay. And so we know that this is going to be a very strong region of resistance, because people are going to be ranging in between Bitcoin, altcoin, Bitcoin, altcoin, Bitcoin, altcoin, and we're starting to see that balance. Well, typically speaking, we've been seeing that Bitcoin dominance has been rising over the last few months as the market has been falling. Of course, this is natural. Well, some of you may ask, well, if the market's falling, why would Bitcoin dominance be increasing? Well, typically speaking, Bitcoin is one of the more safe/stable cryptocurrencies out there. It may see a bit of a swing, less volatility than a lot of our other altcoins, especially in comparison to some of your microcap altcoins. So typically speaking, when the price of things are going down, we're seeing the market fall. People are going to want to be a little bit more safe. They're going to want to go with something a little bit more stable, and that is typically Bitcoin or your stable coins, of course. But we're just talking about Bitcoin itself. And so what we'll see is that people funnel money out their altcoins, then into Bitcoin, right? So from there, we're going to see Bitcoin dominance increase as money are leaving the altcoins and going into Bitcoin. Well, the reverse is also the same. When the market is doing well, people are typically more excited. They're willing to take more risks, and they'll funnel money out of the more safe option in Bitcoin, then funnel it into things like ADA, Matic, XRP, BNB, etc. Okay. And so we're seeing something a little different happening right now. Something very different that I think is going to lead to a very big buying opportunity for a lot of our large cap alts, our ADAs, our Matics, our BNBs, our Ethereums, those. Now let me explain why. Well, one thing we saw is that Bitcoin actually broke out of this a bit of ascending wedge, ascending triangle, depending on where you draw this. If you draw it there, it's a wedge. If you draw it here, it is a triangle. Well, one thing we did, it kind of caught me off guard. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting that resistance here was going to be too strong, and it was going to lead to a breakout and continuation to the downside, which would lead into some type of altcoin season. Okay. But what we saw actually was a breakout to the bull side for Bitcoin dominance. But then we're seeing this throwback happen. Now, a throwback is very common. A throwback happens about 1 out of every 3 times, especially within a formation of this nature, because typically this is more considered a continuation pattern. We fall, upward movement. We set this rising triangle, and then we see the continuation downward. Okay. So I'm personally still expecting that we are going to see the breakdown. I still believe it, and I don't really have, I can't prove it. Of course, I can't go in the future and prove it, but that is just what my gut tells me, that we're going to see this breakdown happen. Now, let me explain why. Well, of course, this is going to be a very strong area of resistance. And so that is going to be another squeeze. So we have the squeeze here, we have the squeeze here. I just think that those two combined are going to put pressure downwards, and we're going to see this downward movement. But it's also what we've seen in the past. And so remember what I said. Remember what I said when I said that Bitcoin's price, when prices are falling and the total market cap is falling and people aren't as, safe feeling and comfortable within crypto, that we see Bitcoin dominance rising. Well, think about what we've seen over the last few days. Last week, we've been seeing Bitcoin's price increasing and Bitcoin dominance increasing, which goes against what I said. Well, we're also starting to see that as Bitcoin's price falls, that Bitcoin dominance is falling, which is, again, the opposite of what we've been talking about. Well, what this tells me, personally speaking, is that as, this typically will happen when Bitcoin's prices are headlines, when Bitcoin's exciting, everyone's talking about it. Of course, we had the Amazon news. When we have all of these things happening and people are talking about Bitcoin, we see Bitcoin climbing and we see more people buying into Bitcoin. Okay, of course, that is going to lead to the dominance because they're kind of abandoning their altcoins and we have more new investors coming in. They're putting money into Bitcoin, and then that leads to the Bitcoin price increase, or Bitcoin dominance increasing. But as we start to see Bitcoin falling, the fact that Bitcoin dominance is falling as well is interesting. Because if we take a look at prices right now, Bitcoin is down about 2.5%. But the total market cap of every crypto other than Bitcoin is only down 1.9%. Now that's interesting because that goes to show that altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin right now. I mean, it's evident if we look at ADA Bitcoin pair, it's up 1.3%, which is phenomenal. Ethereum Bitcoin pair, 0.75% as well. So what that tells me is that people are still confident in their altcoins. People are still confident in their altcoins. So what does that mean? Well, I think the best thing we can kind of do is look at times in the past when this has happened, because this is a bit of an outlier. It doesn't happen that often, right? And so what I kind of want to take a look at now is if this is the case. Let's move that back down there. There we go. If this is the case, and we're just going to go ahead and let's move this. We don't need this right now. But what we can see is the last time this happened. So last time this happened was going to be on this big move here. Now, it's going to be a little bit less drastic now because the move that we're seeing is less drastic. But just in terms of principle, we saw this move upwards in Bitcoin market cap, right? The Bitcoin dominance, okay? Well, look what Bitcoin USD did as well in that same time frame. Well, what we saw here is, let's go ahead and let's clear this off for now. Right, what we saw was this same increase from about November all the way until about January 3rd, roughly. That was when Bitcoin dominance hit its peak. We saw this uptrend happening in Bitcoin and Bitcoin's price. So Bitcoin dominance is going up, Bitcoin price is going up. Exactly what we're seeing right now. Well, an interesting thing that happened following that is that Bitcoin started to fall. It had its healthy retracement, as we do see quite often. And from there, I'm pretty sure that looks like about a 382 return. Let's see, something roughly around here. I'm looking at a 382, I'm assuming. Yeah, so fell to about its 382, as we just saw. Okay, so it fell to its 382. It's found its support on its retracement, and it worked its way back up. But even as it started to work its way back up, look what Bitcoin dominance did. It fell, and it fell, and it fell, and it fell, and it fell. Meaning that as Bitcoin prices started to fall and Bitcoin dominance started to fall, that got followed by excitement in altcoins. People were focused on altcoins still, because even as Bitcoin's price was retracing, people were still confident in their altcoins enough that even when Bitcoin's price started to go up, they were more excited about altcoins. Altcoins were starting to perform better, and that led to the fall in Bitcoin dominance. We saw altcoins starting to grow, and if you look at the total market cap of everything but Bitcoin, all of our altcoins combined, it was pure upward momentum. So what that tells us is that right now, as we're starting to see Bitcoin's price falling, as well as Bitcoin dominance falling itself, that could be a key indicator that we may be looking at that support and that establishment of confidence within our altcoins, because we're starting to see that our altcoins are still outperforming Bitcoin today. Well, that adds up with the idea that this is going to be very strong resistance. That we may be looking at a throwback into our apex here, which if this falls means that altcoins are continuously outperforming. Now, if we go look at something like ADA, ADA is of course my favorite altcoin right now, and I want to note something. Well, ADA has not been performing as well as Bitcoin since the fall. I mean, look at this, right? We go to Bitcoin USD, we can see that we're setting this new high, we're starting to work our way back, and we're working maybe hopefully to set a new higher high here. But look at ADA. All of our altcoins aren't doing that, right? We're not seeing that movement in which we saw with Bitcoin, but it looks like it may be starting soon. Well, if we go ahead and we look at our RSI here, I want to note this hidden bullish divergence. Now, this is something I do talk about very, very often in the Patreon. So, of course, if that is something you'd be interested in, I do a lot of technical analysis in there. I'm hanging out in there all the time. They get access to these videos early as well as my research. So, of course, if you would be interested in that, go down to the link in the description and go check it out. But if we do look here, we can see exactly what hidden bullish divergence is. When prices are making higher lows and RSI is making lower lows, we have a hidden bullish divergence. Now, another key indicator is when hidden bullish divergence occurs, RSI values remain in the 80 to 40 range. Well, if we do go ahead again, prices are making these higher lows, as they mentioned, for a hidden bullish divergence, as well as the fact that RSI is making lower lows, as well as the fact that we are still within our 80 to 40 range. So what this looks like to me is that there is a hidden bullish divergence coming, meaning that some move to the upside could be right around the corner. Well, we're seeing that same exact pattern forming within many of our altcoins. I'm not going to go over everyone because I don't want to make this too long, but that is just a very clear, this was the most clear hidden bullish divergence I could find amongst all of the top large cap altcoins of the group right now, okay? And so what that goes to tell me is that we could be looking at a very, very good buying opportunity for our large cap altcoins very soon here. So what I'm looking for, in order to be fully confident in it, right, to say that, okay, I think we need to be buying some large cap altcoins, is how we react to this. Let's go ahead and let me exit out some of this. These are big old arrows I draw. There we go. It's how we react to this. Okay, let's go down to the dailies, and I want to show you something. What I'm looking for is how do we react to this apex? I know we are starting to see some support get established. I just don't think it's going to hold. I'm looking to see, okay, do we work our way back down into the apex? If we work our way back down into the apex, the likelihood of us seeing a throwback to the down or a breakout to the downside, highly likely. Highly, highly likely. The likelihood of us seeing something of this nature, a throwback into the apex plus a double breakout plus the clearing of this resistance and the entrance into our 49 to 51 range, I just don't see it happening, okay? But it'd be very interesting to see. If we do get a throwback in here, I'd be willing to put some money into large cap alts. Now, this is not financial advice. You do as you please. But a lot of different indicators are pointing to say that we could be looking at a good buying opportunity, because if this is the case, if Bitcoin starts to range, because we're not seeing people shorting Bitcoin right now, right? I'm not saying that Bitcoin's price is about to just collapse, but I think it's either going to slowly range this way or maybe fall, retrace, and then work its way back up. But my anticipation is that altcoins are about to see their boost. They're either going to see that increase that we're looking for, or if Bitcoin's price does fall, they're going to fall a lot less, which of course then could lead to some great buying opportunities. So what I'm watching to see is, okay, first and foremost, how do we react to this apex? Do we start to work our way back in? Now, if we do bounce, if we do see this get established as support, we don't need this anymore. If we do see this get established as support and we start to work our way back up and set a new higher high, well, then we need to look at this totally different, and I'm 100% wrong, okay? But if we see the throwback into apex, watch to see if altcoins start to outperform Bitcoin. Now, when that may happen is kind of hard to know. In comparison to ADA, what I'm personally expecting is that we may start to, work our way up off of these trends in which we're setting, right? Because we're starting to see this trend hold itself, right? Even though we've fallen, we've bounced, and I think that if this can maintain its support, we could see continuation to the upside. Now, there are some other ways in which we could look at it. For example, if we do look at Ethereum, which has set this higher high, right here, we started to work our way up and set this higher high. We can see here that there could be some type of throwback happening, right? We could be looking at a potential retest. So if we do lose that trend, we may be looking at a retest of this trend line in which we had established. And then from there, that could serve as enough support to see increase. But of course, I would rather not see that, because I don't want to see a throwback back into the apex of this. Now, another key indicator that we can look at is how does the total market cap 2 move? Because if we can go and we can set a lower low here off of this. So look, let's say if we have something like this. This is what I'm looking for, okay? Even there, that's fine, right? What I'm looking to see happen is how do we react? Because on total market cap 2, we actually set the higher high. It might be very small, but we set the higher high in comparison to where we were in July. Meaning that if we can come down and just briefly set that higher low, just a little bit higher than what we were here, this uptrend could be continuing, meaning since this is total market cap 2, everything but Bitcoin, that our altcoins could still be in an uptrend and money still being funneled into them because people are still confident in them, as we are seeing today, as they fall a little bit less than Bitcoin does. So I guess the whole moral of the story is to keep a close eye. I'm not saying that this is the buying opportunity yet. I'm not saying, it could be. If you want to buy. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I'm saying that I'm paying very, very close attention to if we throw ourselves back into this apex, as well as if on some things like Ethereum, if we do lose this upward trend line in which we are seeing there, if we do lose it, can we find support at this trend line now, right? The top of this triangle / wedge in which we're seeing that. If we can find support here and work our way up, I think that could be a good opportunity to say that altcoins are about to see a lot of upward momentum, because in the past, when we've seen that Bitcoin dominance is moving in conjunction with Bitcoin price, that typically leads to the increase in enthusiasm in the movement of altcoins. So pay close attention to it, okay? I know this video is a little bit more like, oh, this might happen, but you guys know that I never really like saying do this or don't do that, because I am just simply painting a picture with all of these different colors that the chart gives me, right? They give me the reds, they give me the blues, they give me the greens, the yellows, and I paint a picture and I tell you all what I'm seeing. But as the charts do give everybody different colors, they can all paint different pictures. This is the picture I'm painting, okay? And this is what I'm looking for. So use this information as you will, do your own research, pay attention to these charts, and watch for these things closely, because we may be looking at a very, very big move in altcoins coming, especially if we can see a throwback down into that apex on Bitcoin dominance, which could of course lead to a fall in Bitcoin dominance, which would then mean that altcoins are outperforming, which generally speaking, that means that we're seeing an increase in altcoin prices. So with that being said, that is going to be about it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I know it was a lot more technical and we went a lot more in depth on some things you may be a little bit confused about. And if that is the case, of course, you can email me, you can message me, put it in the comment sections, or of course you can sign up for the Patreon, which I talk about all of this and much more. So if you would be excited to do any of those, of course, I would appreciate it. And with that being said, you guys know the drill. I post on this channel 1 to 2 times every single day, and I can't wait to see you all next time. Peace.